Hi, everyone. Welcome to Alternavita. Thank you for stopping by and thank you for your time. I hope you've all had a very nice Christmas and I wish you a Happy New Year. Today, I decided I was going to do a reaction video, but I haven't taken the time to learn how to do that yet. So, occasionally I do see some news of interest and just more validation of proof of concept of how important the microbiota is. And I actually ran across one of the studies I've spoken about on more than one occasion about how they have been using fecal transplants to both cause and reverse conditions. And I've actually run across a few that what I would term the pillars of conditions, and that would be infectious, arthritic, mental, what's the other one? Autoimmune, and obesity, metabolic syndromes. And this particular one happens to tackle autism, but I'm also going to share with you, I've recently seen videos that include even more mental health conditions and addictions, and that would be alcoholism and manic depression. So, this week's post, I'm just going to go through this article with you and highlight some of the things I noted in particular. I'm going to try to refrain from pointing out what I think would have been obvious interventions they could have used to avoid some particular outcomes, and just how they could have made the treatment much better by adding some simple things, in my humble opinion. I believe this study was repeated by the Chinese, and they pretty much achieved the same results, although I believe there was a much smaller sample involved in the Chinese study. So the title is Autism Symptoms Reduced Nearly 50% 2 years after fecal transplant. I'm going to share screen here. Okay. And this is the study, and this was 2019, but I think this study was actually 2017, and the follow-up was 2019, and then this is the article after the follow-up. So currently effective treatments include behavioral therapy, speech and social therapy, psychiatric medication, dietary and nutritional approaches. However, no medical treatments have been approved to treat core symptoms of ASD, and that continues to this day because the only FDA approved treatment for fecal transplant is, I believe, for C. diff. And even that, I believe, has to be conducted as possibly under right to try. And you have to get accepted into a treatment for even C. diff. Ironically, the C. diff treatment takes only one fecal transplant treatment, whereas this particular treatment, I believe they did this for 2 years, or not 2 years, 10 weeks, and that was daily. Why they didn't go longer than that, I don't know. But anyway, in the new study, long-term benefit of microbiota transfer therapy, it goes on to tell who developed this, and it was originally pioneered by Dr. Thomas Borody, an Australian gastroenterologist. Remarkably, improvements in gut health and autism symptoms appear to persist long after treatment. At 2 years post-treatment, most of the initial improvements in gut symptoms remained. In addition, parents reported a slow, steady reduction in symptoms during the treatment and over the next 2 years. A professional evaluator found a 45% reduction in core ASD symptoms. That includes language, social interaction, and behavior at 2 years post-treatment compared to before treatment began. So they're finding a strong connection between microbes that live in the intestines and signals that travel to the brain. And then some of the results were another interesting thing that was initially developed by Borody at his center in Sydney he has overseen more than 18,000 fecal microbiota transplants for various disorders since 1987. Only one dose of fecal microbiota transplant is usually enough to cure C. difficile, but patients with autism were harder. And he discovered that 3 months of daily fecal microbiota transplant was required to treat autism patients. This particular study only involved 10 weeks of treatment, including pre-treatment with vancomycin, a bowel cleanse, a stomach acid suppressant, and then the fecal microbiota for 7 to 8 weeks. Okay. Another note, I'm going to note that they used bifido and prevotella. Kids with autism are lacking those important beneficial microbiota, and that is agrees with the WHO statement that bifidobacteria, a maternally transmitted probiotic, is necessary to establish the formation of the microbiota. Every family completed the study, and every family returned 2 years later for a follow-up. This is a world first discovery. And it's also called here the highest improvement in a cohort that anyone has achieved for autism. They revealed a 45% decrease in ASD symptoms compared to baseline. At the start of the study, 83% of the participants were rated as severe. At the end of the study, and by severe, they probably mean head banging, nonverbal, and possibly wearing a diaper. At the start of the study, 83% of participants were rated as severe. At the end, only 17% were severe, 39% were mild to moderate, and 44% were below the cutoff for mild autism symptoms. And then they go on to state that they need more money for larger clinical trials. And as I said, he's been doing this since 1987. This was in 2017. This was after the obesity and the autoimmune and the arthritis. And what was the other one? Infectious. So let me just do a quick search here so I can see if I can locate the core commonalities of all these children. What would I put? Okay, there it is. Many of the participants in the trial shared common traits, including birth by C-section, reduced breastfeeding, increased antibiotics, and low fiber intake by the mother and child, all of which lead to limited biodiversity in their gut microbiota. And if you have been watching this channel, you know that number one in the risk factors would be not breastfeeding. C-section also is also extremely detrimental. Increased antibiotics would happen post-birth and low fiber intake, although it could affect the microbiota of the mother. That would be virtually irrelevant in an infant, because infants don't eat fiber post-birth. So all of those, the majority of those, except for not breastfeeding, would be post-diet and long-term post-birth effects that might make the situation worse, but they would not be considered causal. And the antibiotics would naturally follow most of the time with not breastfeeding, because then you would be prone to, well, that's definitely prone to the necessity of antibiotics, not breastfeeding. And it said in this article that most of these children suffered their gut problems as infants. So the other, I'm going to stop share here. This will be in the post. I don't know what the title will be, but I'm also going to include the 2 videos on some other results from fecal transplants, and that includes alcoholism and manic depression, and the other one is about an autistic individual that developed Crohn's. It's been stated that some studies, when they used it with Crohn's, they had disastrous results, but this was not the case. Not only did he appear to have his C. difficile cured, he also noticed improved symptoms. He also noticed improvement from his Crohn's, I believe. So I'm going to share this article and the 2 videos on fecal transplants. And there's just more validation of what you've already heard, and it's not particularly encouraging just due to the fact that he has been at this since 1987. And at least 18,000 patients, and to date, there is only one FDA-approved treatment, and that is for C. difficile, and even that, I believe, you have to enroll in a clinical study to even get that. So that's just one more reason why you should take the same approach, basically, which is altering your own gut microbiota and doing this on your own with the home-based approach of natural oral immune therapy. So I don't know. You can sit around and wait, or you can be proactive in your approach. What else is there to say about it? Because these studies alone were 2017. The mice obesity study, I believe, was even earlier than that. And he has been at it since 1987, and he's a pioneer in the research. But to date, none of it has reached current medical practice. And that's quite a long time to be waiting, and you would not be, after a certain amount of time, I would suspect you would not be able to have, you could gain benefits, but it's probably a sliding scale of how much benefit you can gain the longer you wait. Because at some point you might actually begin to develop cancer if you keep a condition like inflammatory bowel syndrome going for 20, 30, 40 years. Okay, everyone, that's it for this week. I hope you have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Bye.